My name is Hakim Saeed, and I'm running an NGO in Washington. And I'm ashamed to say, I went to Gaziantep, and I was there. I was eating a lot of kebab. I'm ashamed to see you say that. I blame everything on Washington. What's going on in Syria? It wasn't my first time going there. I was 17 years old. I went to Halab, to Aleppo, and I called myself a Halabi. I'm Baluchi. I'm just pleading to each one of you who's here, to our guests. I have a little office, a little place here. Work it together. NGO is not helping much in Turkey. I've seen that. I went there. I spent months with them. Unfortunately, I got my own excuse right now. I put them down. I'm ashamed of myself.
Do you have a question, sir, please?
The question is how we can help here. Do we get enough help from the U.S. Population? Because I saw today in the news, a little boy wanted to give his toys, but he was at the White House. I just make comment. And I'm just saying, please, to each one of you, I have a little office here, how we could work it together. Thank you.
Hivin, would you like to comment?
Well, thank you for raising the point. I have actually a few suggestions, but I would like to start. You refer that the NGOs are not together from what you notice in Gaziantep. Yes, you're right, but there is a reason for that. The reason is when the head of UN OCHA stopped worrying about anything and only his concern is sharing information with them. And then this information actually not being used in the right way, when the numbers and figures sometimes are misquoted, it frustrates the Syrian because the NGOs majority are those Syrians who are risking their life and they are trapped. I'll give you a few examples. 2 years ago, last year in December, our office was closed. 20 staff, including 5 females, were arrested in one of the safe area. And the problem...
Sorry, by whom?
They were arrested in Afrin, so if you do your math, you will know why they were arrested and by whom. And we were accused of working in areas that are under the control of different army groups and militia. So this is accusation. So we are, each side accuse us by standing in the with the other side, and we are trading them, and we are intelligence, and we are all these types. Because when you ask from the donors to document and use a GPS photos to document your work, then you are intelligent. So how are we gonna meet and compromise the standard, the criteria needed by our donors, by our funders, and the mentalities of the different militias on the ground? You know, this is a challenge. We are on the front line, you know, where we are risking our life. I smuggled into Syria last year. You know, and if I said that in my visa application, they will stop me to the US. But I did, because I wanted to see. Because even when you live in Kilis, just the other side of the border with Tubab al-Salam from Syria, there is a different story. It's not what you see in the news. The camera cannot capture the real story, no matter how good is the photographer. You need to see the eyes of the people. You need to be there. Even from that line of the border, there is a lot of different story. When I went to there was a Eid break. I see the children are still playing with the toys, which are guns. This is hard to see, you know. You see the fears in some, you see the worry in silence, you see the pain. You know, you go to hospital to check your work, and then you see the different suffering. I got to talk to one patient of one of the service we are struggling to find funding for it, is a dialysis center. where we are providing dialysis. Dialysis is a killing. You know, if you don't get session, if you don't have that session every week, you will die. So you will have a kidney failure, and then complication, then you die. And all he was asking for me, holding my hand, can you provide us with ipotine? Well, if you don't provide the patient with the session with the medication called ipotine, that means the patient has to have a blood transfusion. So he will be through another type of pain, and that will happen every week. So these are challenges. To answer your question, what is our recommendation? We don't have an office here. I'm thankful for the Middle Eastern Institute. My recommendation, we hope that the biggest funder of the Syrian humanitarian crisis, the US aid, and the US government will not cut with the new administration the funding, because the crisis is on the increase, is not going down. So this is one recommendation, one ask, and we will need whoever is here in the US to take that message on our behalf and remind them of that need. Secondly, we need also to improve our system. You know, we need to create some flexibility. I know accountability is important, but we need to also see a way to stop the bureaucracy referring to, you know, because now everybody's talking about early recovery and start talking about building infrastructure. What infrastructure if you have 100 shelling a day in an area? We're not there. I know we need to think about it, but that doesn't mean that we need to stop the humanitarian access currently and the humanitarian services. So we need to make a balance between what on the long term, yes, we need to do planning, but however, we are not there because actually too many actors are involved in Syria and the shelling. So this is the second thing. And I think we need to work together, and we need to find a way together, and we need to support the local actors on the ground, you know. I mean, we don't want to seem like we are two ends and on the bus. We are on one side of occasion, and we need to talk to the government who we need their support to be on our side, you know. It's we working together to deliver the service, especially the humanitarian, for those in need. Otherwise, we will not be able to carry on our work on a daily basis.